So waited to Skippily. Time for another homework review. Uh this week I've added some rectangles, as you can see. So we still got the black rectangles, and that indicates that the word was a question on our grammar quiz. And then I put red rectangles around words that were often mistranslated. And in many instances, there is a trend to how it was mistranslated. And it's something we've talked about before. So we're going to talk about it again. So we're going to go through here, and I will answer the grammar questions as we go through. I'm going to give you until Monday at 11:59 p.m., right? Monday at midnight is what I want to say, but I don't want someone to think that I mean Sunday midnight. Monday at 11:59 p.m., you're going to have to submit corrections. And I hope you take advantage of that. We had a lot of people submit corrections this week, and that was great because I made the video, I made the video required, and I gave you a longer time. So if that gets more of you to do it, then I think that's good, because you might as well get 30 out of 30 on these. I want you to watch the video. That's why I allow for corrections, to give you an incentive. I'm also going to be talking about a new piece of grammar that I want you to take note of. It's actually not new. You've actually seen it before. You've actually seen it since the first book. But we haven't talked about it yet this year, and I want to make sure that you are recognizing it, because I will ask about it on a future quiz without question. Let's dive right back in here. Volubilis is being sought. Remember, that was the last thing that Waterka said. Where's our volubilis? And he's apparently the cook. So Antiloquox is going to respond here. Volubilis venire non potes, quod nam parat, responded Antiloquox. And that is, Volubilis is not able venire to come. Okay? Volubilis is not able to come because que nam parat, he is preparing dinner, responded Antiloquox. Most of you got that fine. Bregans, the guy who's the story is named after, Bregans was standing. Okay, remember, every sentence you approach, you want to find the subject verb first. Okay? Bregans was standing. If you do that, then you are likely to translate the rest of it correctly. When you don't, you are likely to translate it all wrong. So Bregans was standing in the middle of the slaves. What this means. In mediis servis means in the middle, literally in the middle slaves. But that's how Latin describes when you're standing in the middle of things. So maybe you guys have heard of in medias res, the notion that a story starts in the middle of things. That's rendered the same way, adjective, right? Instead of where we would say in the middle of, blah, 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 okay? But that's a fine way to translate. Bregans was standing in the middle of slaves. And then we get to our first problem. A lot of you are still, if you'll notice, let's look at where I have put these red rectangles. I've got one on Canem. Down there in line 16, I've got one at the end of the line over bestias. And finally, on line 19, I have a red rectangle around waricam. Why is that? What do all those things have in common? I'll tell you what they all have in common. They are all at the beginning of clauses, and they are all in the accusative. Meaning, Latin students who are used to English, where the subject comes first in a sentence or a clause, will see that word and think that must be a subject. Okay? So I had a lot of people say, the dog, a huge dog with him, habebat. And then they looked up habebat. Okay? let's tackle the first problem first, and that is that condom is not a subject. It's not a nominative, so it can't be. Condom is an accusative, right? M. So again, your first thing you should do when you hit each clause is subject verb. Okay. So if you say, okay, condom habebat, that must be well, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Is condom actually a subject? Is it actually a nominative? So whenever you say, okay, this is my subject, make sure it's in the nominative. Before you move on, make sure you've got a nominative there. Condom. Well, wait a minute. That's not a subject ending. In fact, that's a very common accusative ending. So it must not be the subject. And Gentem's going with it. It can't be the subject. Say cum is cum and say. So that's not a nominative either. In fact, say never shows up in the nominative ever. So you're left with habebat, and you're like, well, I don't have a subject. Yes, you do. You have the subject you last used. Bregans was standing in the middle of the slaves. He was having, which I know is awkward, so it's okay to say he had, a huge dog with him. Not a huge dog was living with him. This brings us to another problem. You need to be more precise, many of you, when you look up words. I've been working with individuals this week, and I've been reading your translations, even if I haven't been working with you. And many translation errors come from the fact that you look up HAB, and you go, habebat, HAB, okay, HAB, look in the back, and you just see habito, and you go, okay, live. But this doesn't say habito. In no way, shape, or form is habebat anywhere near habitabat, okay? There's no habit. There's no IT. So you can't just say, well, it looks close enough. I'll just translate. No, find what word it is. You have to look beyond just, the first thing you come across with HAB. Oh, okay, so I got habeo, habere, or habito, habitere. Well, which one does it look more like? Habeo, habere. Sure does. Okay, so you need to be more deliberate and more precise when you're looking up words. That's going to come up another several times in this passage, or at least once more. So he was having a huge dog with him. All right, let's go back to Winiri. Winiri, on the first line, I asked, what tense voice mood is it? Now, many of you I've been working with, and I say, where are you going to go to find this? Your Latin toolbox. You should have that bookmarked, and when you are doing your grammar quiz and when you're doing your translation, you should have that open, that Latin toolbox. It has links to everything. It has links to every grammatical video I've made for you. It has links to every document I've made for you. One of those documents is verb parsing. And in the verb parsing document, you might say, okay, I'm looking for something with an RE. Now, maybe you don't know it's a verb. Maybe like you're looking at that going, I don't know what that is. Could be an irregular idiom, Could be a noun with that E ending. I don't know. Okay, well then look at the question. I say tense voice mood. What kind of word has a tense? What kind of word has a tense, like present, imperfect, or perfect? Not a noun. Nouns don't have tense, right? I mean, not in the nouns we're dealing with right now. So you might say, okay, well, this has got to be, and you may even recognize it means to come. Okay, so that's a verb. So you need to go to the right document, first of all, which is the verb parsing document. There's a link to it in your Latin toolbox. And you get in there, and once you're in there, you might say, okay, gosh, there's a lot of stuff here. Well, here's the digital age gives you all sorts of nice shortcuts, right? Control F or Command F. Search for RE. Okay, and you're going to have to, kind of wade past a couple of words like present, and you'll find down there at some point that it says ends in RE, and you say, okay, where am I? Ends in RE? What? Oh, I'm in the infinitive section. Okay, and infinitive is under mood. Oh, okay, so this must be an infinitive mood. And if you read on, the entry on infinitives in the Latin toolbox tells you every single answer you need for that grammar question. It tells you that it's an infinitive, it's under mood, and it tells you that all infinitives are present and active. There's your tense and voice. And that we only know one use, and that use is complementary. There's the use. So the entire 5-part question of venire, the answers of it are in the Latin or in the verb parsing document via the Latin toolbox. Go use that resource. It's there. Okay. Hopefully, the more you use it, the less you'll have to use it because you'll start remembering things. Okay. But if you don't know offhand that's an infinitive, that's how you find out. All right. The next thing I asked about was secum. And this is another one where you want to read the question carefully and make sure that you're using all the information that is given to you before you even go about trying to find it. Now, when I've been working with people this week, I've said, look up se, or look up canis, or look up venire. And the first thing you guys do when you look that up is you say, to come, dog. That's great. That is what it means. But when we are translating and talking about the grammar, we are less concerned about the vocabulary meaning and more concerned about the grammar. Okay, so we're less concerned about what the English says in the dictionary than we are about what the Latin says. So you might find se in the back, but even if you didn't, I tell you in that question, secum is merely cum, preposition with ablative, se. Well, if I'm telling you that cum is a preposition used with the ablative, that right there tells you what case you're in, the ablative. Now, you may shortcut yourself and say, okay, that must be the use too, preposition, bam. Oh, that would be a mistake. That would be a mistake. Because cum is a preposition, but it's used in several different uses of the ablative. So what you want to do is, you already know it's ablative, so you want to go back to your Latin toolbox and open up the case uses document and go down to ablative. And under ablative, you'll see 2 uses. And those 2 uses are preposition. Don't stop, though. Make sure you look at all the uses before you decide what something is. And the other is accompaniment. And if you look at the example under accompaniment, it's he goes to the form with the girl, cum puella. Cum puella sure looks a lot like cum se. This is an ablative of accompaniment. Okay? Now, how do I know what gender number it is? How do I know that? I looked up se, and it says he, her, self, himself, themselves. I mean, how do we know? Well, if you look at the gloss on the side and the margin, it's glossed. And I also tell you that in the question. It's glossed as with him. Him sounds pretty masculine, right? Him also sounds pretty singular. It's not them. It's not her. So you know now it's masculine, singular. I already basically told you it was ablative. And if you look in the case uses document, you know that it's ablative of accompaniment. Great. All right, here goes Bregans.
Hey, ecce Warwica, rex cognitiveness, domino nostro huncana mesit.
Good for you. All sorts of very entertaining translations here. The first part is, look, Warwica. Now, you need to find your subject and your verb. Okay. Rex. Is that a nominative? Wow, that's weird. I'll look it up in the back. Rex regis. Oh. Well, if it's listed as rex regis, that rex must be the nominative. So this is a nominative. So this can be our subject. Okay, great. Rex misit. Oh. That's on the grammar quiz too. Now, let me stop for just a second. And I've said this before. I make the grammar quiz due a day later than the homework because I don't want you to have too much due in one day. But they're really designed to be done together. Okay? Misit, it asks you to parse it. Okay? Now, a lot of you did exactly what we were talking about above. You saw MIS and you went to the dictionary and you went MIS, I mean, misère. 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 Miserable. That has something to do with being miserable. Okay, we'll just go with that. Then you don't have a verb. There's no verb now. You've taken your verb and turned it into an adjective. On top of that, misit looks nothing like miser or misera or miserum. It has no er. You're not being deliberate enough. You're not being specific enough. You're not looking close enough. Misit ends in a T. We don't know any nouns that end in a T. Even the third declension with all its weird stuff rarely, if ever, ends in a T in the nominative. Right? That doesn't happen. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, it doesn't happen. So you're, you shouldn't even be thinking nouns, and you shouldn't be thinking adjectives because they have the same endings as most nouns. So what is it? Misit's a verb. Okay, so misit's a verb. So you go back, you say, oh, but I can't find any verbs that start with MIS. Remember, when you are looking up verbs, you need to cast a wide net. You can't try to look up the exact spelling. Why? Because verbs change their spelling. And in fact, the changing of the spelling is a clue to what tense you've got going on here. So you cast a wider net to MI. Okay, MI. Okay, I'm looking for a verb, MI. Not a noun, not an adjective, a verb. Okay, so it's going to say o are awi, or it's going to say o ere, or it's going to say o ire, right? It's going to be a verb. Well, when you look under MI, all the MI verbs, you only find two. Milito, okay, milito. We'll just go with oh, well, that does have an L and an I and a T, and even in the third principal parts, in militawi, those are a lot of letters that I don't see here. I only see misit. That's pretty short. Okay, so maybe that's not it. Let's keep going. And we go down and we see another verb that starts with mi, and it's mito. And we look at all three principal parts, as we always do, and it says mito, mitere, misi. Ah, misi. There's a misi. There's something that could work. So that misit looks like a third principal part. Well, gosh, what's going on with that? Open up your verb parsing document. Maybe you even can do another Command F or Control F, and you see, and you look for third, because you're looking for third principal part. Look, there it is. It's right there under perfect. On the entry for the perfect tense, it says perfect uses the third principal part. It has the endings est, it, emis, estis, erunt. Hey, is it, est, it, mis, it. Hey, there it is. Huh. Est, it. That must be the third person singular, right? Est, it, singular. Emis, distis, erunt, plural. First, second, third, first, second, third. Third person singular. Perfect, because it's using the third principal part. All we know is active. And any good old-fashioned verb, as it says in the verb parsing document, any good old-fashioned verb is just an indicative. That's what we got. You've got to take more time looking these things up, not only so that you don't lose points in your translation, but also so that you know how to answer the grammar questions. And it's really, it's helpful to do both the grammar and the translation together because they help each other out. If you had looked at that question already and seen that you were getting asked to parse it and seen that you were being asked things like tense and person and number, then you probably wouldn't be tempted to look at miser or misera because that's not a verb. All right, let's move on. He says, look, Varika, or sorry, the different voice, wasn't it? Look, Varika, the King Cognidubnus sent. That's our subject verb. King Cognidubnus sent. Okay. Sent what? Let's see. We need an accusative. Hunk Conim sent this dog. Now, I don't know what to do with Domino Nostro because I've not learned the dative yet. That's okay, Bregans. I bet if you just say it, you'll figure it out. King Cognitus sent this dog, our master. Well, sent this dog of our master. That doesn't sound right. Sent this dog to our master. Yeah, that's what it is. Domino nostro is a dative. And we are going to learn about that case, the dative, and its use very soon. Okay? King Cog sent this dog to our master, said Bregans. Canis ferocissimus est. Okay. A lot of you said the dog is ferocious. Well, yeah, it comes from ferox, but this isn't just ferox, this is ferocissimus. Look at that ISSIMU. I mean, it's telling you something there, right? That's like a big neon sign saying something big is going on here. What kind of adjective is that? We've had it before. You had it in book 1. It's called a superlative. Right? Not a comparative. He's not more ferocious. He's the most ferocious. So you can either say the dog is the most ferocious, this dog is the most ferocious, or you can say dog is very ferocious, or you can say like most ferocious or something like that. The dog is most ferocious. And then I asked you, what is the gender number case of canis? And if you look up canis in the back, you're going to see it says canis, comma, canis. Uh-oh. Well, that second canis tells you that this sucker is third declension. How does it tell you that? Because that second word, when you're looking up a noun, the second word is the genitive, and the declension that has an is genitive is third. Okay, so you maybe don't remember all that. So you look on pages 154 to 156, somewhere in there where all those tables are. And so, yeah, well, this is that irregular is, except the irregular here is another is. Oh, man. That means is could be nominative or genitive. What a drag. So now I got to go back to my text. Again, that's why you do these things together. You got to go back to your text. Canis is. I mean, there's not much there to mistake, right? The dog is. Well, if the translation is the dog is, that means dog is your subject. And if it's the subject, it's got to be a nominative. Well, now we've solved 2 problems. We know the use, subject, and we know the case, nominative. And oh, shoot, we forgot to write down. Let's go back and look up canis again. That's right, it's masculine. And we know it's singular because it's in that singular column. Is, ema. Regular is, ema, right? So that's masculine, singular, nominative. Use, subject. Subject of est. The dog is most ferocious. Now, a lot of people here went bestias. Okay, let's see. Best. I'll just look up all these words. Best, beast, hunt, able. Okay, so I got these words. I'll just, I don't know. The beasts are the best able to hunt. Wrong. Don't do that. What's the problem? Bestias is not a nominative. Again, if you look up bestia, it's bestia, bestii. Bestias, that's an accusative. You can't make that a subject. That's not your subject. Agitare is an infinitive. Potest is a verb. Optime, what is going on with that? That's another superlative. But look at the ending. A. That's a superlative adverb. So you want to translate something like very well. So where's our subject? We don't have one. We don't have a nominative in this clause. So what do? We use the subject from the previous clause and we just say he. The dog is most ferocious. He is able. He potest. He is able to agitare, hunt. Oh, beasts. That's our direct object. He is able to hunt beasts very well. Okay, very well, because it's a superlative adverb. So the dog is most ferocious. He's able to hunt beasts real well. Subito, vagenti equites ariam intervenunt. Almost everybody did that right. Suddenly, 20 horsemen entered the area, into the courtyard. The first was Salvius. Post quam ex equo descendit. After, and again, we have a problem. People think, okay, well, there's got to be subject, and the only noun here is equo. So I guess after the horses came down, no. Equo, not a nominative. It's with X. We don't have another nominative. We have to use our previous subject and just say he. After he descended from the horse. after he got down ex equo from the horse, and then so many people here put Varika greeted him. Nope. Warikam is an accusative. He's not the subject. After he got down from the horse, he greeted Varika. Or Warika. Okay? That's an accusative.
Servos in spicere wolo,
Inquit Salvius. I want to inspect the slaves. Again, a lot of people, because Servos came first, the slaves need to be inspected or something like that. No, we can't do that. We don't have any passives. I want Wolo. Find your verb. Do you have a nominative? No nominative. What does Wolo mean? I. Oh, so I is the subject. I want inspicere, to inspect Servos, the slaves, said Salvius. For inspicere, I asked you to parse the whole thing. And you probably went, R-E. I remember we did an RE up above with Winery. Okay, yeah, I know where to go for that. So you go back to your verb parsing document and you look under infinitive. And again, you read that section on that I wrote on infinitive, and you see that it says infinitives have no person or no number. So for person and number, what do you put? NA. NA, no answer, not applicable. And they're always present, and they're always active. And once you know it's infinitive, you can answer the mood. So the whole thing is answered there for you again.
I want to inspect the slaves, said
Salvius. Then Salvius and Warika were walking on Belawant per ordines, and I asked about ordines. And again, if you looked up Ordin, right, you're going to have trouble. You got to look up, broaden, cast a wider net, broaden your search, and you find Ordo Ordinus. Oh, that must be third declension, because again, it has an is genitive. Okay, so third declension, irregular is, ace, ibis, ace, ibis. Nominative or accusative? Oh, I have to decide which one? Oh, well, then Salvius and Varika were walking, so they must be the subjects. So that means ordinates can't. So it's an accusative. Let's go to our case uses document, and we'll see that our accusative has two uses, direct object or preposition. Easiest one to rule out first is preposition. Is there a little word prepositioned in front of this word? Pair. There is. Through. That's a preposition. If you don't know, you can look up pair and it'll tell you it's a preposition. So it must be an accusative use preposition. When you looked up Ordo, you found that it was nominative. You already know it's plural because you went irregularissium singular, and then sum ibis ibis in the plural column. So it's masculine, plural, accusative, use, preposition. There's no reason why everyone can't get 30 out of 30 on these grammar quizzes, because the answers are all either in the book or in the toolboxes that I've been giving you. They're open book, they're open note. Okay? The only thing they're not open is someone else's brain. You got to use your own brain and your own hands to thumb through the book and your own eyes to look at the text. You got to do that legwork and handwork or whatever yourself. But once you do, the answers should be forthcoming. And if you're still having trouble finding it, as many of you have done, comment, email, and I'll say, you might want to look again at this document. As always, if you have any questions, please contact me. Please come into office hours. I've got new appointment slots. That doesn't mean you can't drop in. You can still drop in. You might check the appointment slots to see if you're going to be waiting for a little bit. You can still drop in, though, and I'll let you know if I'm with someone and for how long. But if you want to be sure that you've got a slot ready, then you can go to Google Calendar and reserve one. Okay. Please correct your homework using this video. Please resubmit it by 11:59 p.m. on Monday, and you'll get your 30 points back. I hope to see it then. In the meantime, Wale Tatus Gipoli.